Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. Today's video has been highly requested and a pain in the butt to make decisions about. I'm talking about, of course, you saw it in the title, my Pat McGrath Palette collection ranking. Last time I did this video, I think my Pat McGrath collection was probably a third of the size Pat McGrath collection I have right now. I was already in love with the brand and I knew I needed it all. I wanted it all. Just so you know, every single palette I'm about to mention here has a review on my channel or tutorials on my channel. I have made 5 looks 1 palettes with all of the bigger palettes I'm going to mention. Anything from 10 pans and up has a 5 looks 1 palette video, and all of the quads have at least 1 tutorial here on my channel. So if you have any of these palettes and you need look inspirations, definitely look them up on my channel because I have made content with every single one of these. I can't wait to show you the way I organize them. It's kind of ranked by level of excitement, from a little bit disappointing to, oh my god, what is this gloriousness, you know? You guys know I am a Pat McGrath stan. Love the formula, love the Astro Blitz shades, love the shimmers, love it all. Anyways, if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to please subscribe before you leave, and let's get started. I have a lot to go over. By the way, when ranking by level of excitement, you will see that different size palettes are like in different positions, one after the other. You might see a quad that is pretty close to like the first few, or a full size palette that is like all the way in the back, and it's because it's just not as exciting for me. But with that said, it does really excite me to have a variety of looks within the palette that I can create. So a lot of the bigger palettes are towards the front. Okay, now for real, let's get started. I have 22 palettes in front of me. I might not be able to do a countdown because I might get confused. So let me just get started by number 22, and I'm going to go all the way to number 1. And number 22 is actually a Pat McGrath Mothership palette. It's one of Pat McGrath's 10 pan palettes, and I honestly never expected to have a palette this size with this glorious packaging be my least favorite one out of my whole Pat McGrath collection, but here we are. This was the last Pat McGrath palette I bought. It has a beautiful variety of shades. My main issue with it is that all of the shades are the same exact formula. They are all the same exact type of shimmer. So while this can be used beautifully as a palette to get your pops of color with, it was extremely difficult for me to do my 5 looks 1 palette with this one, because I just really enjoy having the dimension that you can create when you have mattes and shimmers and glitters all together in a palette. Not much more to say about this one because I don't want this video to be super long. I just don't really recommend it. I'm glad that I got it because I can now give you this feedback, and I also completed my Mothership palette collection, but it's just not a palette that I see myself reaching for a whole lot. So this is number 22. And I keep all of my Pat McGrath boxes because I think that they are part of the experience. So this is the box for that one. The next one is actually one of the newest quads Pat McGrath has released, and it is this right over here. This is the Pat McGrath Celestial Odyssey Luxe Quad in Deep Space Divinity. Here is what the box of this one looks like. And all in all, this is not really a terrible quad. I was disappointed at the fact that these 2 shimmer shades look almost exactly the same, and if we have a 4-pan palette, I would definitely love for all of my colors to be different because we need as much variety as we can get from 4 pans. This duochrome shade here is beautiful, and my issue with the matte shade in this palette, which is one of the main reasons it is almost last in my ranking, this shade is not flattering on my complexion. I think this shade for dark and deep complexions is absolutely beautiful, but anyone from tan and lighter, I think you're going to look like you got punched in the eye. That is certainly how it made me personally look, so I'm just not a huge fan of this one. By the way, the day that I'm filming this video, Pat McGrath is still having her 25 to 35% off sale. So if you're interested in any of these palettes, I will have them all linked down below, and hopefully you can still shop for them while they are on sale. Besides that, I am mentioning the holiday palettes like this one I just mentioned, and the holiday collection is currently 40% off on the Pat McGrath website, so you can get those almost half off, which is a much better deal than I got because I paid almost full price. So just something to keep in mind. Definitely check out the links in the description box. The next palette is also a quad, and it is this romantic little quad right here. Here's what the box of this one looks like. The name of this one is Eternal Eden, and I feel like with this pretty monochromatic color story you can only get a certain type of pink eyeshadow look. It's just not my cup of tea. I feel like I only wear colors like these probably during Valentine's Day, which is the time around which this palette came out, so I understand. However, I just have 19 more palettes ahead of this one that I like a little bit better. The formulas are good, the shimmers are good, nothing to complain about. It's just the color story is not my favorite. Next, I'm going to show you the only 6-pan palette that I own from Pat McGrath. And the reason is I started collecting Pat McGrath like maybe 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half actually. And a lot of her 6-pan palettes that she was constantly releasing before are now discontinued, so I was never able to get my hands on those. And so the only 6-pan palette she has released since I've been collecting her items is this one here. This is the Mothership Rose Decadence palette, and it's probably a similar story to what I just showed you. You can get a very specific look with this one. I actually really like every single one of these shades. I did a 3 looks 1 palette with this one if you're interested, and I loved every single look, but I haven't reached for this palette since ever. So it's just not a palette that I reach for a lot. Therefore, it's a little further back in my collection. And here is what the packaging of this one looks like. I think the outside box probably looked the same, which is why I probably tossed it. Next up, also from the holiday collection this year, this is the quad right here. This one is called the Celestial Odyssey Luxe Quad in the color Bronze Borealis. Here's what the box of this one looks like. I think the main con I have with this palette is definitely the fact that these 2 shades, again, just like with the previous palette that came out with this one, they look so similar to one another. And in fact, these 2 shades are almost the exact same shades that look the same on the other palette, which, if you don't remember, is this one right here. See, like, they're just like bronzy goldy types of shades. All 4 of them look the same. However, the reason this one gets me a little bit more excited and it ranks a little bit higher is the fact that it has this matte burgundy shade right here that I absolutely love. I am a fan, a huge fan of matte burgundy shades, and so this one is really beautiful. I also really love this shade right here. So these 2 shades right here make the palette a little bit more exciting for me. I also like this one, why not? Let me show you that one too. I just don't like that it looks exactly the same to this one, but it is a really beautiful color story, which is why it ranks a little bit higher for me. However, there is a lot of other Pat McGrath palettes that get me more excited, so let's talk about those next. Okay, we are at number 17. Coming in at number 17, this one right here. This is the Blitz Astro Quad in Iconic Illumination. And I mean, just look at these beautiful shades. I feel like this is definitely a color story that we've seen before, but what makes this one special is that it is an Astro Blitz quad from Pat McGrath. If you don't know, Astro Blitz shades are Pat McGrath's special shades. We will be talking a lot about these shades in the palettes that I have coming up. And what makes them special is they are these super finely milled shimmers that go on like butter. They are extremely pigmented. They come in 2 forms. They come in like an intense shimmer form and a glittery form like this one. You can see the difference right there. You can see both of them are very nice and shimmery and reflective. I'm obsessed with the Astro Blitz glitters. Those are my absolute favorite, and I mean, every single shade in this palette is nice and unique. You can create really beautiful looks with this one. Nothing bad to say about this one at all. Like, from here on, I absolutely love every single palette I'm about to mention. It's just some of them get me a little bit more excited than others, and I think the fact that this is kind of like a more common color story makes this one fall back a little bit, but I absolutely love it. Okay, at number 16, this one right over here. This is the Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in Risque Rose. It has this beautiful fuchsia shade. This brown burgundy matte shade right here is to die for. This one here is a beautiful rose gold tone, and what makes this quad very, very special to me is this duochrome shimmer right over here. It is pink and purple and gray all at the same time. It is extremely metallic, as you can see. This is a regular shimmer from Pat McGrath. It's not an Astro Blitz shade. Just because the shades are a little bit more textured and chunky, I'm just saying that so that you guys can know the difference. Regardless, it is an absolutely stunning shade, and you can create some really beautiful looks with this one. Also, having a quad that gives you a really nice variety of shades allows you to have a little bit more versatility when it comes to creating looks with it. So you can definitely create a really nice variety of looks with this quad, which makes it very exciting. But definitely the star of the show is this one right here. It looks absolutely spectacular on the eyes. Coming in at number 15, we have this quad right here. This is the Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad in Flor Fantasia. This is what the box looks like right here. When this palette first came out, I was like not interested in it at all. And let me tell you, it is ranking a lot higher than back then me would have expected it to. And that is because I think this is the greatest spring quad ever. Okay, I don't actually have a look with this one on my YouTube channel, but I do have a look with this one on my Instagram page if you guys are interested. This one came out as part of a holiday quad collection, and so it's not very holiday-esque. That being the main reason I didn't get it right away, but I think 4 months later when spring was coming around, I grabbed it on sale and I am in love with it. This palette has two shades that I am in love with. The matte shade being definitely one of them because it is this really beautiful peachy shade that can be a great transition color, but it also gives you a little bit of depth on the outer corner without letting you go too dark for your spring look. And then it also has this spectacular lilac purple shade right here, which is like a duochrome silvery purple shade. Also looks beautiful on the eye. And I think one of my favorite things about this quad too is that even though it has really nice light pastel shades, it has dimension within that color story. So you can actually come up with quite different looks that are all going to be very, very beautiful with this one. I just love this palette for spring. I know come spring 2022, I will be dusting it off again and wearing it because it is just absolute perfection. And that is why it made it quite far along in my ranking. Okay, I took a little dinner break and I am back with number 14, and at number 14 we have one of the biggest palettes as far as quantity of shades is concerned that I'm going to talk about in this video, and that is this one right here. This is now discontinued, but this is last year's holiday palette and it is called the Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity Palettes. Here is what the inside of this palette looks like. I absolutely love the shimmers that come in this palette. I love that you get a ton of different shades in here. It does have a couple of flops, like the fact that there's only 1, 2, and 3 mattes in it. However, I was able to create really nice looks with this one. I don't think it's a palette that I reach for that much anymore. However, it did have its moments, and let me show you some of my favorite shades. This one right here, so pretty. I love the green one. This purple here with the gold shimmer in it. Ooh, and this one, I love this one too. Check it out. This palette has some stunning shimmers. I love this duochrome right here. It's so pretty. Definitely makes a statement on the eye, just sort of like what I'm wearing right now, which, by the way, I know I should have worn Pat McGrath eyeshadows for this video, but I am currently filming 2 videos a day, so it wasn't possible. This is from Alamar Cosmetics, the new Encanto palette, and I am in love. Let me keep going. I also love this color, this brown color right here is lovely. Let's do one more, this gold right here. Ooh, absolutely stunning, stunning shades. So I just love the variety of shades that come in this palette. Also, Pat McGrath's 18 pan holiday palettes are kind of the most affordable way to get your hands on some Pat McGrath eyeshadows, because her quads run in the 50s and you only get 4 shades. Her big Mothership palettes are usually $125 for 10 shades, and in this one they are smaller pans, but you do get 18 different shades for $70 something. So it is a really good deal, and both times she's released these palettes they end up going on sale. So if you're patient and wait, you can definitely score one of these for a relatively affordable price. Let's keep going. At number 13, we have one of Mother Pat's most colorful quads, the most colorful quad, and it is the Blitz Astro Quad in Nocturnal Nirvana. Here is what the beautiful box looks like right here. I feel like it looks like I'm wearing this palette, like I definitely have this color story on my eyes, but I'm not. Anyways, this quad is very exciting to me precisely because it is so nice and colorful. You can actually create some really beautiful colorful looks with this palette using only these 4 shades if you want to. I've definitely done it. I have tutorials on my channel. Or you can of course reach for this one for pops of color for different eye looks, and you can absolutely also enjoy it that way. All 4 of these shades are Astro Blitz shades, so they are that super nice, finely milled, very metallic formula from Pat McGrath, which makes this palette very special. Here's what the shades look like on my fingers, and as you can see, they are absolutely stunning and beautiful once you put them on your eyeballs as well. And so this palette is absolutely stunning, and it totally deserves this 13th spot. Coming in at number 12, the quad that made me fall in love with blue eyeshadow, which was something I had never done before. That is the Interstellar Icon Squad from Mother Pat, and this is what the box looks like right here. This quad doesn't have any mattes in it, which you could think makes it not as versatile as some others. However, this burgundy shade right here, that by the way is absolutely stunning, has like a satin finish to it, so it can totally be used on the crease of your eye to get this really nice burgundy smoky eye throughout the crease, and then it makes it so that you can use these shades right here as a perfect pops of color slash inner corner color right here for the eyelid. So it is actually a very, very versatile palette, absolutely stunning. Like I said, this blue duochrome shimmer right here made me fall in love with blue eyeshadow. It does have a lot of purple undertones in it, and it is absolutely spectacular. One of my favorite quads from Mother Pat. It makes my eyes look beautiful, and it just has amazing formula, so I absolutely love it. Next we have another quad, this one right over here. This one is the Astro Blitz quad in Ritualistic Rose. This is the beautiful box right over here. This one also has all 4 of the shades in this one are also Astro Blitz shades, and you can see how absolutely stunning these are. This is the perfect metallic rose gold color story right here. You can create some very beautiful, very shiny looks with this one, which to me makes it very special. Let me show you what the shades look like on the tip of my fingers. I'm showing you on the tip of my fingers because they're round and eyeballs are round, so you can kind of see dimension on there a little better in my opinion, rather than swatches. Plus, it's easier to wipe them off, let's be real. Obviously, the star of the show in this one is this color on my middle finger right here. It is an absolutely stunning shimmer shade, and I love that with this one you can't go too dark. This color right here is the darkest you can go, and that is the color that I always reach for to use on my crease whenever I reach for this palette. It is an absolutely beautiful color story, very unique, but also kind of on the glamorous basic side, let's call it. So this is a look that you can definitely use for any occasions, very flattering on the eyes, and I just absolutely love the sparkles that this quad has. We have officially gotten to the top 10. These palettes I'm about to share with you are my top 10 Pat McGrath palettes ever. And let's start with number 10, and it is a big Mothership palette, this one right over here. This is the Mothership number 6, the Midnight Sun palette. Honestly, I myself am a little surprised that as far as the Mothership palettes, the big ones are concerned, this one is my 8th favorite one. I have 9 total because this is an absolutely beautiful palette, but I have to be very realistic and tough with my decisions when ranking them, and there's 2 reasons this one ranks a little lower within the Mothership palettes, and the main one is this shade right here. I don't really like it too much. It's like a very bricky type of a red, and I just don't reach for those shades that often anymore, so I'm not reaching for this one as much. I do really like the mustard shade. I love this really nice dark brown. It has a beautiful shimmer color that you can use on the inner corner, and this olive green is to die for. You can see right here, and these are not even any of the Astro Blitz shades that come in this palette, but still very beautiful and great to combine with those. Now these right here are the Astro Blitz shades that come in this palette. In the big Mothership palettes that you'll see from now on, these 4 shades right here are always Astro Blitz shades. Anyways, check out this one right here. This is one of the most beautiful shimmers ever. I believe that one specifically might be in a couple of these Mothership palettes, and it deserves to be, okay, because it is a spectacular Astro Blitz shade. I also really love this blue purple color right here. It's very special. And then these 2 are pretty, but they're not particularly unique, so I feel like that is kind of what makes this palette be my 8th Mothership palette and the 10th for my whole collection. You can still get a really beautiful variety of looks with this one. I have a 5 looks one palette I created with it, and it is a favorite palette of mine, but like I said, I just have to be kind of tough when making my decisions. Alrighty, coming in at number 9, it is this year's holiday palette. And for this palette not to have any Astro Blitz shades, you have to know that I really love it because it is in my top 10. It might still be 40% off by the time I upload this video, so if you're interested, I highly recommend it. Anyways, here is what the inside of this one looks like right here. One of my absolute favorite shades in this palette is without a doubt this black matte shimmer right here. It's got rainbow sparkles in it, and you can create the sexiest black smoky eye with it. I also love this rose gold shade, this green, this teal. All of these colors right here are obviously to die for. I also love that she gave us 4 mattes instead of 3 in this palette right here. Much appreciated. I love Pat McGrath shimmers. She makes the best shimmers. But I also do love having good mattes to complement those shimmers in my palettes. And let's see, some other shades I love are this one here, this one, and this one. Ooh, the silver one's good too. See, all of these shimmer shades right here are absolutely spectacular. I think this palette mainly made it to my top 10, top 9 specifically, because it is such a versatile palette. I love that it's not a monochromatic color story at all. It has purples and greens and browns and pinks and golds and silvers and blacks. It's got all kinds of colorful and neutral shades in it, and I was very easily able to create a really good variety of looks with this one when I did my 5 looks 1 palette video, which is definitely one of the reasons that I love it so much, and I do highly recommend it. At number 8, I have another Mothership palette, and that one is this one right here. I absolutely love this palette. It was in fact just featured in my favorite holiday palettes video, just like this one was. And the reason I absolutely love it for the holidays is of course this stunning emerald green shade right here, as well as that beautiful gold, and the fact that those shades combine so beautifully with the mattes that come in this palette. I really love the way Pat thinks about palettes. She's always sure to give us a dark brown or dark burgundy type of shade. If she's envisioning smoky looks, she'll give you the black shade, and then there's always a color that you can use on the inner corner of the eye in her palettes, which I kind of think about palettes like that as well, so that is always for me very appreciated. And then the star of the show for this palette in particular are definitely the Astro Blitz shades. So let me show you the swatches of these because they are lovely. Just take a look right over here. These two colors right here specifically make this palette a holiday dream, and then it's got these other two shades right here which are a little bit more basic, less colorful, but absolute staples to have in Pat McGrath palettes. They can be shimmery toppers for like the green shade, for instance, like you can put the green shade in there and then top it up with this white shimmer shade right here, and that kind of changes it a little bit. This could be a perfect inner corner or inner third of the eye type of color right here with this pinky undertone. Layering Pat McGrath shimmer shades is one of my favorite things to do. I highly recommend that you do it as well. And well, this palette is super special. I didn't even say which Pat McGrath Mothership this was. This is Mothership number 2 Sublime palette, which comes in this box right here. Coming in at number 7, we have another quad, and in fact my favorite quad from the Pat McGrath line, and the last quad that you will see in this video, because from this one on they are all 10 pan palettes that I have left. This one here is the Venus and Flare Voyeuristic Vixen quad. This right here is its beautiful box. I love this palette. Is totally an understatement. This palette is perfection. Even though it is a quad, it is just the perfect quad. It's got burgundy in it, which I absolutely love. Plus this particular matte burgundy shade is the softest matte burgundy shade ever, and one of my favorite matte shades Pat McGrath has done. Then we have this color right here that totally made me cry when I first saw it. It is a beautiful duochrome shade. You can see in the mirror how it looks gold, and here it looks like a rose tone because it has this intense shift to it. Then it's got a perfect bronzy shade that you can use in the center of the eyelid, and this beautiful light color shimmer here, which is a perfect inner corner color. You can create a couple of different looks with this one. I love it so much that I did a 3 looks 1 palette with it, and this quad just has the most buttery, most shiny shades ever. I highly recommend it. If you are a burgundy eyeshadow fan like me, you will regret nothing getting your hands on this one. I know a lot of you guys got it based on my recommendations and you are still absolutely loving it, which makes me super happy. I cannot recommend this little quad enough. My number 1 Pat McGrath quad for sure. And I mean, what's not to love? It's just a perfect quad. Alright, so like I said before, from here on is only 10 pan Mothership palettes that we have left. This is my favorite format in Pat McGrath palettes because you get mattes, you get shimmers, and then you get the Blitz Astral shades, plus the packaging is impeccable, very luxurious, very weighted, just it's an experience, okay? This right here is my 6th favorite Pat McGrath palette. This palette has absolutely stunning Astro Blitz shades, which I'm about to show you, but first I want to show you the mattes. Not all Pat McGrath Mothership palettes have more than 2 mattes in them, and when they have 3 mattes, I extra appreciate them, and this one is one of those that has 3 mattes instead of 2. I just love that this just gives you a lot more variety of looks that you can create with your palette. So as you can see, this one is like a mid-tone brown. You can use it on the crease as your transition shade, and then you can pick one of these 2 shades to darken it up with. This is a beautiful beet purpley type of a shade. It is stunning. And then you have a more cool tone brown right here that you can pair it with. Besides that, it also has this light shimmery shade. This one has a little bit more of a gold undertone, and it is perfect as an inner corner shade. So I love that about it. And then the Astro Blitz shades in this one are super special, especially this one here. This is my favorite. Just check it out right here. First of all, this fire red shade is absolutely stunning all over the eyelid. It is perfection. And then it has 3 of the glittery Astro Blitz shades in this palette, and I mean, just look at that shine. This one here is a perfect rosy type of a shade, super beautiful for the eyelid. Like I said before, you can totally layer these for extra dimension and extra glitter, and an amazing combination of mattes and shimmer. This one is truly one of the most special Pat McGrath Mothership palettes ever, and I highly recommend it. This is, by the way, the box that it comes in, and this is Mothership number 5, which is called Bronze Seduction. And fun fact, this palette is so highly rated. When I first started buying Pat McGrath palettes, this was the #1 palette in a lot of different people's rankings, and so therefore it was my first Pat McGrath palette I ever bought, and obviously it left a lasting impression on me because now I have all of these. Top 5 palettes. My 5th most favorite Pat McGrath palette I actually have in special edition packaging, and it's this one right here. Look at this beautiful rose gold, very fingerprinted box right here. This is Mothership number 8. The Divine Rose Volume 2 palette, and this is what the stunning box looks like right here. This is definitely one of my favorite boxes, only topped by the next one I'm going to show you. I love this box so much. Anyways, this palette is beautiful. It comes equipped with 2 beautiful mattes. I absolutely love this peachy color. It is really, really beautiful for the crease of the eye. It has a stunning burgundy, very soft, very blendable. It has a beautiful duochrome for the inner corner of the eye. It's kind of like a very soft rose, peachy light color. Ooh, and this shade right here, also really beautiful. It's like a very mauvey rose shimmer, which is spectacular. And then comes the fun on this side of the palette right here. First of all, this right here is a multi-chrome shade. Pat's first multi-chrome and my favorite one of the 2 that she's come out with. This is it right here. Let's see if we can focus on the different colors. Okay, take a look right here at all 4 of the Astro Blitz shades that come in this palette. This multi-chrome shade right here, it's got purple and pink and green in it. The camera does not want to do it justice today, but I can promise you I see all of those colors when I look at it, especially the green and the pink. And then we have these 3 right here, a beautiful bronzy shade, this absolutely stunning yellow gold, and then this color, which is the more toppery type of shade, which could be a beautiful inner corner color, or you can layer it on top of these and it looks so stunning. The reason this palette doesn't rank even higher in my collection is that I feel like when you use this palette you can only get very dramatic looks, very dramatic burgundy types of looks specifically, so you don't have as much variety as with the rest of the palettes I'm about to show you, but it is definitely one of my favorite Pat McGrath Mothership palettes ever, and the one I chose for the 5th spot. Okay, in the number 4 spot we have the newest Mothership palette, and that is this beautiful thing right here. This is the Utopian Dream palette from Mother Pat Mothership number 9. I think Utopian Dream is my favorite name she's ever had in a palette. It just sounds special. And this has my most favorite Pat McGrath Mothership box because just look at how stunning the artwork is in this one. She looks futuristic. She looks like she's from space. I love her. Anyways, when this palette came out, I was loving it so much I could have sworn this was going to be my new number 1. But it's not. It's actually my number 4. Let me explain why. First of all, she graced us with 3 mattes once again on this one, which, like I said before, I very, very much appreciate. It has a beautiful inner corner shade, like I've shown you before. These colors, spectacular. I really appreciate this peachy color in here. I feel like that was new and exciting for a Pat McGrath Mothership palette. She hadn't given us a peachy matte shade like that one before, so I really love that about this one. Besides that, I usually, and I don't know if you noticed, but like in the rest of these palettes I just swatched for you, I usually kind of ignore these shimmer shades right here that are kind of like a mid-tone color and it's a regular shimmer, because I much prefer to use the Astro Blitz shades that come in the palettes. However, for this one specifically, she made those mid-tone shimmer shades that come in the middle of the palette actually be kind of special. They're not Astro Blitz shades, but they do have a little bit of a better, more dramatic sparkle in it, so I really love that she did that. And then besides that, one of the reasons I also thought that I was going to have this palette be my new number 1 favorite is that the Astro Blitz shades that come in this palette are the shiniest from all of the palettes she's come out with. Let me swatch them for you. Also in this palette, she gave us her second multi-chrome shade, which is this one right here. Now, the multi-chrome shade is not as spectacular as the one in Mothership number 8 because I don't see the green shift as much as I do with that other one. Plus, it's almost the same color. I wish she would have gone for a different tone for a different multi-chrome, but that's besides the point. Here are the sparkly Astro Blitz shades right here. The 2 in the middle being the sparkliest Astro Blitz shades I've ever seen. And I, do not get me wrong, really, really love them. I think they are absolutely spectacular. I highly recommend this palette. Now, the reason this one is not my new number 1, I guess that's what I should be explaining, is that I feel like this one doesn't give you quite the variety of looks that I would have expected it to give me. First of all, it doesn't have a shade darker than this mid to dark burgundy right here, so I can't really do super smoky looks with this one specifically because this is the darkest it goes right here. And I really do love the versatility of having a very dark matte shade to really smoke out the looks. And so with this one, all of the looks are just a little bit lighter, which could be a good thing if you don't like to go too dark with your eyeshadows, but I do love me a dark smoky eye. Besides that, whenever you are using this palette, you are going all out, because the most special thing about this palette is definitely the beautiful glitters. So this is a party palette. It's not as versatile as the rest of the palettes I'm about to show you. With that said, it definitely has a space in my collection and it is one of my favorite Mothership palettes. But the ones I'm about to mention to you can be party, can be serious, can be smoky, and can be light. And with this one, you don't have as many options. I hope that makes sense. Don't get mad. I love you. I cannot believe it, but we only have 3 palettes to go. Coming in at number 3 is the first Mothership palette Mother ever created, and that is this one right here, Mothership number 1. This is called the Subliminal palette and it comes in this beautiful box right here. This palette, I feel like you see this palette and you're like, that's boring, but it is not boring. It is absolutely stunning. For a palette with a blue shade to be included in my top palette, especially this intense dark blue, it has to be special, okay? First of all, with this one you also get 3 matte shades, which again, much appreciated. And my favorite thing about these matte shades is that they are cool tone matte shades, which makes this palette very different from everything else I've shown you. Usually it's more so burgundies and warm tones, and this one has 3 beautiful cool toned shades that just pair so well with the Blitz Astro shades in the palette. It also has a light shimmery shade to use underneath your eyebrow or on the inner corner of your eye right here. And these matte shades are super soft, super blendable, very, very special. Then we get into these stunning Astro Blitz shades that this palette has, like that intense blue I mentioned to you before. This stunning gold. This might be my favorite gold, and she loves to make golds. Pat McGrath makes lots of golds. I think this is my favorite gold in her collection because it's so different. It's like a very light gold, almost like a pearly type of a gold shade. So special. And then these two shades up here they have my heart. Check it out right there. First of all four of these colors pair amazingly with one another. They look spectacular on the eyelid. They layer so well, and they go so amazingly well with the cool tone mattes that this palette has. I am in love, and I just cannot deny it. This is number 3 for a reason. I will never take it back. Check out the 5 Looks 1 palette I created with this one. I highly recommend that you do because I'm still blown away by how good that thumbnail looks. When I was ranking my palettes on level of excitement, I was looking at the inside of the palette, I was swatching the shades, and I was going back to my 5 Looks 1 palettes that I've created with a lot of these to make sure that I really like the looks that I created with the palettes as well. In fact, I feel like the 5 Looks 1 palette thumbnails had a lot to do with my decision as to which palette I like more than the other, and I think the 5 Looks 1 palette thumbnail for this palette in particular is breathtaking, and every time I look at it I get excited to play with this palette again. Like I said, this blue shade is absolutely stunning, but you can totally layer it so nicely with some of these other shimmer shades that I showed you right here. Take a look at how beautiful that looks. And then my favorite gold right here, this very beautiful light gold, also layers really nice with those colors, and it also pairs so amazingly with the cool tone matte shades, which you wouldn't expect, but it's just such a stunning color story. An underrated palette in my opinion, and I highly recommend it. I have light eyes and I can make these blue tones work. If you have brown eyes, just run to the website, hope that it's in stock, and get the palette. Palette number 2 is a very surprising palette in my opinion, and that is this one right here. This is Mothership number 3 Subversive palette. I'm not going to lie, I do not like this box. I think the reason I got this palette so late in when I was building my collection was the fact that this box just is, I don't know, it's not that it's ugly, it's just I don't like the overpowering pink, and I feel like it has almost nothing to do with the inside of the palette. Like, it's got one shade that looks like it, but not a huge fan of the box for this one. But there's definitely a reason it is my number 2 favorite, and that is, and remember I said I looked at the thumbnails when I was making my decisions, I feel like this is the most versatile color story within the Pat McGrath Mothership palette. You have pink, you have blue, you have gold, you have brown, you have a lighter, more purpley pink, and a black smoky shade. So as far as versatility goes, this right here is definitely, in my opinion, where it's at. Check out the 5 Looks 1 palette I created with this one. You will not regret it. In this one, we have 2 matte shades of brown and a black that just both pair amazingly with the rest of the shades that come in here. First of all, this matte shimmery shade right here, it was definitely what got me excited about the black shimmer that comes in the holiday palette, because I had already tried this one and I love it. You can also create a beautiful, stunning black smoky eye with this one. And then it's got this purpley pinky shimmer shade right here that is kind of unique for Pat McGrath. I don't know that she has many colors like that one, but definitely not my favorite from this palette. Let's get into the Astro Blitz shades. This one has 4 very different and very unique Astro Blitz shades, and I so appreciate them. Take a look right over here. This gold green with a black base is such a stunning and also different type of color. I don't think I own any other color like that in my collection, and that makes this one so exquisite and so special. Besides that, we have this purple blue duochrome, which I absolutely love, and it's actually my favorite look that I created with this palette, the one I made with this duochrome shade. And then we've seen colors like these in other palettes, but I feel like the fact that these two are in here makes this palette nice, unique, and it gives it a lot of versatility, because then you have these two light pinky shimmery shades that you can combine with the rest of the shades in here to make some really stunning looks. This palette also, in my opinion, very underrated. It deserves a lot more hype than it gets, and it is my number 2 pick. That is how much I love it. I highly recommend it. And last but not least, at number 1, and if you were keeping track, you know what's coming. This one right here, this is Mothership number 7, the Celestial Divinity palette. When I did my last Pat McGrath rankings video, I did already own this palette, and this was my number 1 back then as well. And I feel like it comes down to wearability and versatility. First of all, I really love nudie pinky shades. What's not to love about them? And so therefore I love the color story of this palette. Second of all, I feel like this could be a day-to-day palette, or it could be a party palette all in one. The 5 looks 1 palette that I did with this one was definitely what I needed to convince myself that this was still my number 1, because I just really love the pinky nudie shades. I love the variety of looks that I can create with this one, and I just love the way it makes my light colored eyes look. It makes really good contrast with them. This could arguably be the most boring one of them all, but I do think that it has a lot of variety and diversity within the color story, so I absolutely love it. This right here is what the box of this one looks like. This one has 2 beautiful matte shades. It has a beautiful transition-y cool tone pinky color, and this beautiful, more warm, I would say, type of dark brown. I really love the combination of these 2 shades, and it makes for the perfect crease and outer corner color. Of course, like in all of the Pat palettes, you have the light highlight color that you can use on the inner corner of the brow bone, or these are artistry palettes, you can use it as a highlighter as well, which is absolutely stunning. And then let's pick one more. I also really like this rose tone, cool tone shimmer right here. I feel like these 3 shades, or these 4 shades actually, can be worn on a day-to-day basis. This could be an office look right here if you work at an office, or like if you just want a day-to-day look that you don't have to think about much. This right here is it. Let's go on to the Astro Blitz shades that come in this one. Here you have them right over here. You have this beautiful peachy rose gold duochrome shade. It looks peach and gold and pink, and it is absolutely stunning. Then this is another beautiful light gold shade that makes this palette very versatile, because it's just such a stunning gold light color. Absolutely love that one. And then these 2, believe it or not, I think are the most special. First of all, this shimmer, I think this is probably in some of the other palettes as well, but it's just a stunning topper. You can pair it with any color, and it just makes everything so much more special. Now this shade right here, I feel like often gets overlooked, but it is a perfect light duochrome pinky shade that transforms your looks like no other. In the thumbnail of my 5 looks 1 palette video, I did a halo eye that had this shade in the center, and it is my favorite look from that video. It's so absolutely stunning. And so because of the fact that you can use it day to night, and the fact that it has a really beautiful romantic color story, this right here is still my number 1 pick for my Mothership palettes. Alrighty, so that concludes this video. I know this was probably long enough, so I'm going to keep the outro short and sweet. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what your favorite Pat McGrath palette is down in the comments section, or if anything surprised you, definitely let me know. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you back in tomorrow's video. Bye!